Recording in progress.
Trying to deal with technology associated with our cyber security in the town, and change email addresses is going a little rocky. Thanks everybody for coming. Our first item, is there any changes, removals, or additions to the agenda?
I think Alice wants to talk about a grant possibility for the Meadow Road Bridge.
I talked to her, and I think that's going to come up under one of our other
Agenda items? Okay, very good.
And she's prepared to explain past decisions that the select board have made who might affect that
Okay,
request for a grant.
okay, yep, good.
So with that, is there anybody here for the public forum?
Are we the public forum, the historical site? Okay.
Nope, you're the first business
Item
item.
A.
So the second item, or the first item of business is review a letter requesting no rent for the office for the Waitsfield Historical Society at the General Wait House. Just for a little context, I mean, maybe even before we start talking about that, there's a lot of people here today, and probably zooming in, who deserve a lot of thanks for the General Wait House. That building was in great disrepair, and I don't think it's ever looked better. When Gib was hanging shutters, a week or so ago, I stopped by and said it hadn't looked that good since General Wait lived there. It was a team effort to get the political support and get the town behind putting some investment, some overdue investment in the building. So I really want to express, I think, on behalf of the whole board, our appreciation for that. So for history background, the town, and I'm going to get some of the dates wrong, Lois can correct me when I flub up. In the mid to late 90s, the town bought the General Wait House. We used our recreation, restroom, and conservation fund to do that, primarily because the town, years before, saw a need for public restrooms in the valley, and that provided an opportunity for both public restrooms and a visitor center. As part of the package of funding that put it together, this Historical Society raised over $50,000, which contributed to the purchase price. We also got a series of other grants from the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, from the Forest Service to do a visitor centers, from a number of different sources. And from the get-go, the vision for the building was to use it for public service organizations, as a public restroom, and as a visitor center, and as a museum. And the Waitsfield Historical Society, as I understood it, had use of the museum area, the front room, the parlor, rent-free since that time. Things changed over the years. At a later date, an upstairs office was allowed for the Historical Society, also rent-free. And at one point, the Historical Society was given a lease for the barn. It was a 5-year lease, and that expired a couple of years ago and was not renewed. At a time when the select board was thinking, the building's in disrepair, we need to fix it up or do something, or it's just going to fall down. And the management of the building had run kind of aground. There hadn't been any changes to leases in years, there hadn't been any rent increases in years. Unfortunately, one of our anchor tenants was the Chamber of Commerce. They operated the visitor center, and when they moved out, a lot of the kind of management and maintenance activities that they had taken on fell back on the town, and I don't think the town always did a great job of fulfilling their responsibilities under those. But when they moved out, the Historical Society moved into their space, the space that had been leased to the Chamber of Commerce, and used it for archives and other office and administrative
With your
uses.
approval.
What's that?
With the select board's approval.
Yeah, I'm not aware, this select board was not, none of us were on the select board.
I know that.
Unfortunately, there's no written history, there's no change in the lease, there's no written permission that we can find. If you have other information, we'd be glad to see it. But things were done on a handshake for a while with the Wait House. And the select board became concerned about the management, and we decided, when we did not renew the use of the lease for the barn, to bring in another management structure, and appointed the Wait House Commission. And Fred, you've been here for all that, so you correct me if I'm wrong too. To look at a couple of things, to look at the sustainability of the building, how it can pay for itself, or its operations, it had always been represented to the town, and I went back and looked at the town meeting minutes when the Waite House was purchased. It was always represented that the rents should pay for the operations. I think what was never really addressed was how are we gonna pay for long-term maintenance, and that was something that ultimately, finally, fell on the taxpayers this year with the help of ARPA funds and some other, I think, just a good budget condition for the town. We were able to make some overdue investments, and hopefully we have now established a reserve fund to make future investments. So one of the responsibilities of the commission was putting together a work plan for those improvements. We repainted, fixed the shutters, replaced the roof. It really does look great. We're doing some internal changes. We changed locks. There's a fire door that was faulty, and we're installing a new one. We installed ADA accessible handicap parking and handicap ramp. So there's been a lot of improvements. There's still work to be done. The Waite House Commission also analyzed rents, looked at operating costs, and came up with a proposed rent structure and lease arrangements. And all of the rents were increased. We had some back and forth about how to charge rent for the shared space, the area that mostly the Mad River Path Association uses for their equipment and rentals and whatnot, and we've made some adjustments to that. But the Waite House Commission suggested that we continue to offer the upstairs office and the parlor museum space to the Waitsfield Historical Society rent-free, but that we charge rent for the lost revenue from when the chamber moved out, and that was the lease that was entered into with the Waitsfield Historical Society. So the letter that we got from the Historical Society was from last summer. It was from 2024. I don't remember whether we acted on it. I believe what we did is we directed the commission to take a look at it and take a look at the rent structure. But I don't think...
I don't remember ever seeing it in a packet.
We may not have. So we may have just... we didn't have a town administrator at the time.
Yeah.
We had a volunteer and interim town administrator, and a lot of the select board doing a lot of the work. So if anything did fall between the cracks, you know, mea culpa, it happens, and it was a tough time for the town.
Explain what I know.
But now we're here to address it, and I had thought that the Waite House Commission had looked at it, but that might not have been the case. So we've received that letter. We've received two other pieces of correspondence, one from Gib Geiger talking about the amount of contributions that the Historical Society and he, on behalf of the Historical Society, had made to the building and other people. And one from Anne Marie Harmon, kind of re-justifying the Waite House Commission's analysis and how they came to the rent structure and the decision to recommend that we charge the Historical Society rent. So that's where I'm coming from. That's my understanding. If there's any gaps there, I'd be happy for someone to fill them.
I do want to explain the letter, if I may.
That would be great.
That letter came about because when we were starting to get new people into the Historical Society, Fred was one of the new members.
I've been a member, almost a life member.
I'm sorry, board member.
Board member, okay, very good.
It turned out where we had already gotten the approval from the select board to be able to give the $24.50 to the town for the tree removal. And I had already gotten in October, on October 4th meeting, the approval of our board, and that was not part of Fred at all. He wasn't on the board at the time. But as the year started in '24, new members came on, and it was a couple of, we only meet every other month. And therefore, when it came to be the April meeting, we needed a secretary and we needed a vice president, and two people were willing to take on the position, even though it was midstream of the year of our meeting. We hadn't had a meeting yet. We were going to meet in the fall. I said, well, you know, I would be happy to vote those two people in, Fred as vice president and Bridget as secretary. So therefore, I was about to write the check out to pay for the trees as I was treasurer. And Fred said he would prefer to have that taken care of. He thinks it's more money than it was, and I said, no, it's only, I thought it's $27.50, but it was really $24.50, and I didn't have a bill in front of me. So anyway, Fred was not available sometimes throughout the summer. You had some incidences. And I was away in Maine, and I thought I would check with the secretary to see if she had written the letter. And she said she had not, and she told me why, and explained very well why, and I understood. So I said, well, I'm out here, I'm gonna start writing it, and I came home and I finished writing it. I put it through the board members. I put it through Fred, I didn't hear from him. I put it through Alice Peel, excuse me. And she said, it sounds fine to me, go with it. And I was waiting to hear from Fred, and I think he finally did get back to me, and I know you had situations, Fred, I wasn't pushing you, but he did say, sounds good to me, and that was either a text or an email that you sent back to me. So I was anxious to get that paid for before we had our next board meeting in August, which ended up being canceled anyway. But, so I think the check was written out for July 2nd. And I had the letter written, and it was not my idea. I was doing what was suggested, which was a motion that was given by Fred at the meeting, that he wished that letter, and I have it right here, that he wished that to be included with the check. So that's why I wrote the letter and got the approval of other board members before I sent it. So that's the story of the letter.
And so just to be clear, the letter was sent,
Oh, and that was hand-delivered. No,
I have it here, the date on it is?
July 30th was the letter, August 2nd was the check date. If Kitty was here, she'd remember that probably from her checkbook. But I had it in an envelope. I spoke with Christine Sullivan, and I said, this is for the select board. For the letter was to go to them. And she said she would see to it that they would get the letter.
Okay, and I don't think there's any, we all have it now. I think you resubmitted it to make sure it would be on the agenda, and that's what we're talking about tonight, so.
The letter?
Yeah, the request.
Do you have a copy of it, or you want a copy?
Yes, we all have a copy.
It's in the
Okay.
it's in the
That's
packet
what I
for
thought,
tonight.
yeah.
Yes.
So, the
And
only,
we also have copies of the other correspondence, the White House lease and floor plan.
right.
So I guess that's helpful background information, but really what it comes down to is the request, and should we allow the third space to be rent-free or to charge rent for it? Yes,
I
sir.
just have a question, you say the third space, what's the first two spaces?
There's the parlor,
Right.
and then there's an upstairs office.
It's not.
We don't
One
have-
and 101,
We're not
102,
using
and 104.
upstairs at all.
The lease
Beth
authorizes.
Kendrick is in that upstairs office.
right there.
And at first you got nothing from that office because it wasn't rented. And then it finally got rented and you were getting $300 from her. And something else that you didn't
I'm
realize.
sorry, just so I want to clarify, what the lease has three spaces, 101, 104, and,
Oh, that's for downstairs, that's for the Historical Society.
Yeah,
yes.
There's two rooms, there's like the archive room.
Okay, I'm sorry, now, there was an upstairs office at one time, right?
That's where we were, that's how we
That's right,
started.
That's right.
You're correct, there's 3 rooms.
There's 3
But they're
rooms.
all on
I'm
the
sorry,
first floor.
I'm sorry, I was
They
confused.
divided
get
into
changed.
three,
It
into
changed.
3 rooms.
So, and what the lease says is 101, perhaps to make up for the upstairs office that was rent-free, is rent-free. 102, which is the larger of the 2 offices, is, has a rent at $1.25 a square foot, which is the rent that's charged to all of the tenants. And then 104, which is the larger room, has a 0 rent.
So you're basically charging just for the part that's an office.
Yes.
Well,
Just-
I will definitely have a few things to say, if you don't mind. I do have the letter.
Lois, if I could interrupt here.
Certainly.
Hold-
We have,
Whoa,
Alice,
have
hold on a
some new-
second. Alice, hold on a second.
yeah,
So,
go,
I just want to make sure everybody's, because I confused things. So, I'm looking at a map a floor plan that's not great. So just to be clear, the 101 space is the space next to the kitchen.
Here's a letter that was written by the town administrator back in 1996, before we actually got to move in, and it
Okay.
says that it was donated to us, and that, there's a letter for each of you.
Yes. But at that time, what was donated was
That room.
not the 101 and 102, which the chamber occupied.
Right. But I made sure when that was offered to us, that I said, there's no way even that we could possibly think of paying rent. And I was told at the time, don't worry about it. You had gotten the approval of the select board to move in.
Yeah, and that's still the case. That has held till today. And the current lease that was signed by the Historical Society reflects that agreement. That 104, the parlor, and 101, which is the office next to the kitchen, are rent-free. The larger office that the chamber used to use as the information center with the information desk that could be closed off,
Yeah.
that's the one that you currently pay rent for, and I'm assuming you're requesting that you no longer need to pay rent for that. Is that the case?
That's correct.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, Alice, go ahead, you wanted to add something?
no, that's okay. I just thought that maybe, the Waitsfield Historical Society members that are there would like to begin to address why we're here and why we are concerned about the burden that constantly paying, I think we're the highest rent of all the tenants, I think, or maybe the second highest. But we're concerned based on the kinds of forward-thinking things we'd like to do for Waitsfield, for the town, the activities of a historical society and what it means to the residents. We started a few activities, but these cost money. We also pay insurance and fees for things like newsletters and things. And we look at our current membership rolls and our ability to bring in any kind of funding. We are in competition at this point with the Waite House Commission for funding. We've been trying very hard to not conflate the two and make sure that when people donate, they understand, are you donating to the commission and the actual upkeep of the building, or are you donating to the Waitsfield Historical Society and activities in keeping the archives and the historic records of Waitsfield kept up to date, kept up so that they can be used and displayed more. And we look at a long-term plan and the money that we have, and the fear is that we're going to be we will be at a disadvantage to try and to set a long-range plan, have more activities, and also continue to pay this amount of rent. So I thought that the other members that are sitting back there would want to voice their concerns about this.
Kathy?
I'm gonna stand up just so I can see everybody.
Uh,
I am not the
come
one
right
who
up and grab a
has
chair.
most information, who can speak to numbers and cents, as well as some of the other board members. But they've convinced me that our first responsibility is financial stability, so that we can carry this organization forward to the next generation and the next. So we're worried about not diving into savings that could go to education and programs. I'm also really concerned where we're gonna put all this stuff. If you go in and look at the room that we're talking about, you know, if we can't afford it, we have to move out of, to where? Where will we go? And these are valuable things. I mean, Lois is sitting in front of me and she knows where they came from. She's tagged everything carefully. You can't just toss it. You have to go back to the families.
You'll
There's a
have
whole protocol.
date on you if you toss it, because that's, we are connected with the state. I mean, this is something that our job is to preserve,
Thanks.
collect and
Preserve
preserve.
and protect.
Kathy, are you done?
I am, I'm done, but there are other members that
No, I
have
know,
more information.
everybody's gonna get a chance to talk,
Yeah.
absolutely. Anybody else? Peter?
Yeah, I just want to mention a few things. I've been a board member of the Historical Society for a number of years, and prior to my return to Waitsfield here a few years ago, I was basically a museum director and a supporter of historical societies nationally and internationally. So I've had quite a bit of experience with it, and I find it very unusual to have a municipality that is charging its historical society rent when it's usually the other way around. Most municipalities pay the historical society to set up a museum, to set up a cultural program, because the cultural program is the center, the value of what that community has. We have a jewel here in the White House in this fact that how many other communities in Vermont have the Founder's Home that's in relatively good shape in the center of their town? None. And what I would hate to see is, through this piddling messaging that's going on here, to take a cultural jewel, to take $1 million property and turn it into a $250,000 condo or a bunch of offices. What we need to preserve, the first job of the municipality, the Historical Society, should be to restore the White House to its original condition. That is where the value is. The community isn't gonna get any value by charging $200 here, $200 there. We have lots of office spaces here. We don't need to turn the White House into an office space. It should be a museum, it should be run by an independent commission, there should be fundraising, and you have to take a much larger view than this little back and forth trying to make a commercial deal. The municipality shouldn't be in the landlord business. I think you guys need to get out of that. Let the Historical Society take over, give it to the Historical Society or another organization that will deal with historic preservation, that will bring the White House back to, well, there are two elements to it. One is the historical house, which is a small house, and then the larger one, which got going, and that's where we are now. That place has an existing carriage barn, from a certain time period. It has the cow stalls. It has all the elements that could be a wonderful community center. Not one that you're going to change, but the value is in the historic preservation and preserving it as it was originally. I think the long-term view has to be taken into account to make that happen, and not this little discussion with rents and who's going to make money on it. Somebody will make money on it, but we need to ensure that whenever progress is made, whenever a new roof is put on, that it is done in a historically accurate form. That's the way you're going to maintain the value of that place, and that's the way the community is going to benefit, not by this back and forth. Thank you.
Peter, I agree with most of what you said. I just wanted to say, though, I think that we've demonstrated a commitment to the historic preservation of the building and the upgrade of it. What's been done this year was long overdue, and it represents the vision that you're calling for, I believe. Yes, sir?
Bob Malone. I'm a board member of the Historical Society. I guess my question is the intent of the Waite House, to be a commercial building, not a preserved historic General Waite's house. I think that a lot of the people who donated in the original purchase were looking to preserve that historical vision of it. And if it's just a commercial building, or if we're not there and it's just rented out to another thing now, 90% of the building is just a commercial building.
You know, I don't think it was ever intended to be just a commercial building. The vision was, and I donated to the house to the Historical Society, so I was here then. It should be a center for community service. We've got the Mad River Valley Planning District, we've got the Friends of the Mad River, we've got the Mad River Path Association, we've got the Waitsfield Historical Society. There is a private tenant. I don't know when that decision was made. It was made several years ago, but I believe, and I'm speaking just for myself, that the vision is as a community center, as a community service center. The voters, when they were presented with the proposal for this, were presented with the idea of a visitor center. And the Chamber of Commerce was an anchor tenant. They were also presented with a vision that we're going to pay for the heating, for the cleaning, for the snow removal, for the trash removal. That has to be paid for. It can be paid for out of tax dollars, but the select board at the time said, no, we're gonna bring in these tenants, these service organizations, and they're gonna pay for the operating cost. And what fell between the cracks is how do you deal with the long-term deterioration of a roof, but we've solved that, at least for the time being. I think the real downslide of the Waite House happened when the chamber came out, left personally. They were an anchor tenant. They paid a good bulk of the rents, and they provided a community service in being a visitor center. And now we're at a point where we say, how are we going to pay for it? Are we going to pay for it out of tax dollars? Are we going to pay for it out of a combination of rent and tax dollars? Or are we going to pay for it in some other way? Personally, I thought that the Waite House Commission tried to strike that balance with their proposal, because we do have to pay for the bills one way or another. But that's just, I don't want to get into a back and forth. I just want to kind of be responsive. I want to make sure, Fred or Dave, do you have anything to add before we see if anybody else has anything to say?
Well, I think the Historical Society would much rather use its limited funds on education, preservation, for the historic value of the building and Waitsfield's history. We got a very rich history here in Waitsfield and in the valley, and we sort of feel that it is our responsibility, and I think the town wants us to preserve and educate. And if we have to pay funds every month to the town for occupying a couple of rooms, that's money that is hard to come by, and it limits our outreach ability. The Historical Society is not a committee or a commission or a board of the town of Waitsfield, but I really feel that we are a very integral part of the town government, even though we are not town government. We have a responsibility to preserve all of this. And we can pay rent, or we've done a lot in the last year. We had a Christmas party, we were in the 4th of July parade, we've gone to the senior center and done lectures, we got plans for a digital museum to be set up very shortly. We can do those things, or we can pay rent. But I don't see with our limited income where we can do both. So I guess I'm speaking as a president of the Historical Society right now. We're asking the board to forgive that rent so that we can do more of our mission, which is really what the town would want from us.
Lois?
We are connected with the Articles of Association with the state, and it's to collect, preserve, and exhibit material relating to the history of Waitsfield. And it also to promote and encourage the study of local history and the preservation of manuscripts, photographs, documents, and other articles of historical value. And most important, to own, establish, manage, and maintain a museum for the preservation of historical objects. And, I mean, we have to sign papers every year connected with the state about us being part of the state. So we're a little behind on, I mean, what we are supposed to be doing at the moment.
Anybody else like to have anything? You know, and again, I'm gonna go back to the dilemma. The Mad River Path Association, the Friends of the Mad River are also providing community services. They're nonprofit organizations. And Peter, I think you're right. There's probably not a lot of historical societies that pay rent, but I think there's a lot of them that own their buildings and they pay their own heat, they pay their own trash removal, they pay their own upkeep.
Many of them that have been given those buildings by the municipality that they're in because the municipality realizes how important this is for cultural preservation, for cultural education, as Fred was saying, to educate us about our history. We're living in an age where our history is being eliminated right now and is being changed, and we need to put a stop to that. We need to make sure that our history here is preserved and we are knowledgeable about it. We see the changes, we need to celebrate those changes too.
I would just say, comment on that other organizations are community service, that is true. But we are entirely volunteer, nobody's making a salary. And the other organizations, they are. So I would consider that more of a business than what we're trying to hold together.
A different type of situation.
Setup.
We're surviving on a shoestring.
Yeah.
You know, this rent is by far the most expensive expense we have. And above and beyond, they say how much of your income should you spend on rent? It shouldn't be more than 100%.
You know, it's interesting, this is maybe more minutia than anybody cares to know. The town actually has 3 sets of books. We've got the town books, town budget, you know, 2 our roads and everything. We've got the water commission, which is our treasurer refers to as a business account. And we've got the White House, which is a business account. And the idea was always to try to balance those books. And to do the business account requires rents and other income to do that. And the reason where I'm heading with this, I'm not making a case one way or the other, that this year for the first time the Historical Society petitioned the voters to get an annual appropriation with other organizations, and we're successful doing that. And in a way, the money appropriated from that goes to the White House and then goes to balance the budget and pay for the books. I know it's not breaking even now. I think we're about $1,000 and the rent's about $3,600. I'm just saying I'm thinking out loud that it's kind of ironic that that's a way to fund the building with support from the taxpayers without having the White House books in the red. So I'm just thinking through the kind of complexities of it. Go ahead, Lois.
Another thing to bring up is, in the 25 years, as far as at the White House, once ever were the rents raised on the tenants.
I know.
And that was where the problem set in. If that had, we were landlords ourselves, my husband and I. We know what that's all about. And you really do have to raise the rents because everything you're paying out, as far as your expenses, gets increased yearly or at least every other year. So, I mean, that is where the problem, basic problem lays.
That was definitely a contributor,
Yeah,
and
and
the White House Commission corrected that.
But then what's gonna happen? So because of that, the White House gets an atrocious sum of money to have to pay monthly? That's absolutely crazy.
Well, I would challenge that it's not atrocious, that it's below market for the valley, but.
Coming from nothing is what I'm saying, a donation.
But we this idea of the market, let's look at that. I mean, municipality provides services, it provides fire, it provides roads, it provides management. You know, nobody's charging York rent for the office that he uses downstairs. I mean, this is the kind of circular reasoning we're getting into here. If you want the historic preservation program that has a start over at the White House, it has to be supported. And you can't do that by taking money away out of the educational fund that is available to do this sort of stuff. If we want fire protection, we're not gonna charge the fire department, which is a town building, rent for using that, because we want the service. The same should be considered with education and historical preservation.
To tag on to that, when I started becoming interested in this issue, which was probably 4.5 years ago, Facein and Warren were completely shut down. They had no services, they had no volunteers
For the historians.
for their historical society. And Moortown has struggled with really 1 or 2 key people. But still, they're coming back, but nobody's asking for rent. So we would be the only town asking our historical society to pay rent.
Lois?
Another thing that's extremely important, we have people visiting from all across the United States that are here to do research on their ancestors. And I was at the White House when I was on the Historical Society board, often. I was doing work that I was putting stuff on the computer, and I was putting pictures in albums and making sure I was able to be there at different times of the week. I'm not working 5 days a week. I just wasn't about to do that. But while I was there, I got to see, I've done that already. I would like to see where there are more people at the White House to welcome these people. I have a list of all the visitors. They're in the file cabinet that have come from all the way across the United States. So it's like, I've enjoyed that part of it. I mean, that is the part that I really, really loved, and I've been looking for over 4 years, I guess, to replace the people that have to resign or retire because of illness or moving. And it's very difficult to be able to get volunteers.
No, again, I go back to the chamber ran a visitor center, and that's when it worked the best. So, yes, ma'am.
I apologize for my late entry. Pace of play was horrendous today.
State your name, please.
My name is Taylor Radke. I haven't been here long. I don't have any sway in anything. But I do have a passion for preservation, history.
And you are a member.
I am a member. Well, I'm here out of solidarity with limited, with a limited scope of what actually would make a solution viable. But I do know that since I moved here to the Valley permanently in November, I have found a great sense of community. Coming from a background in anthropology and Spanish at the University of Vermont, moving to an entirely different town, with a life transitional chapter, it was I would be remiss to know that there isn't as much momentum behind what that space could be, and really the potential that we could garnish by creating more community engagement and getting more folks. It's not meant to be ageist, but we got to get those younger folks in there and interested in preserving what matters to us, what makes the Valley such a special place. So it's just me showing up in solidarity.
Yes.
And furthermore, to speak to that, as far as paying rent, and, Jennifer Davison, excuse me, paying rent takes away from the opportunity to digitize this collection that we have, so that people all over the world can view it from wherever they're at, and then garner the interest to even come into the building. But if we're at a standstill because we can't afford to preserve these archives, then I think that is really a disservice to the whole community in general.
Yeah, it's, I'll go again. We have the space, the parlor for the museum, but without any additional space to operate that, it's not feasible. You need, a museum isn't just the display space, you need the ability to curate that and prepare exhibits and do all that, so it's a challenge. And if that is one of the goals or desires of the town, to have that museum space that people can come and learn about, a place where people can go to learn about that, or learn about their relatives' history or whatever, you need to, you can't just have that space. It requires more space than that.
And I do, and Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, the Historical Society has made some progress in making sure that it's open to the public a lot more than it was. I mean, it was a locked door most of the time, so now you're coming up with a plan to...
Yeah, the intention is to have that open 8 to 4 every day.
Good.
And maybe on weekends if we can figure out a key system. Where folks can come in, and we have a vast selection of videos, historical videos that people have made over the years. And we've got a computer, they're being loaded up right now, should be almost 50 videos that people can come in and view. And then on appointment, they can probably come in and see some of our physical artifacts. But yeah, it's our plan to very quickly open up a digital museum. We've got over 800 glass negatives that have been digitized, and we want to have that on the computer also so people can thumb through. We're very fortunate with what we have in town. For many towns don't have what we have. We have several authors that have written good books, and we do have people doing videos all the time, and so yeah, we hope to have that digital museum open and running very soon.
Lois.
Just want to say that since we have the room upstairs and moved downstairs, we have like 3 to 4 times more stuff from when we started upstairs. There's been a lot of donations, and a lot got put on computers, so at least we know it's there if somebody's searching for it. I used to know how to go look for it when I was there. Actually, I knew most of the tags, I knew most what shelf everything was on. But anyway, we have in the carriage barn, if it's still there, there's a great display case. That's out of what used to be the drugstore in town, way back when, as I'm told, by Judy Dodds, who did all the curator work before.
Seabright's? Was it Seabright's? Pharmacy?
And
It's still there.
that's
Yeah.
just waiting to be used. If that could be put into that room, and that was my next step, to be able to do something like that and change from what we had there. Because it ran, what we had for the one-room schoolhouse was there for like 4 years.
Yeah.
So I thought, we've got to change it, and I would love to see the new board take that on and put stuff on there. And as kids come in, you don't want them touching everything, so therefore it has to be behind glass. You don't want it walking away either. That's why the doors were locked when nobody was there. But I did spend a lot of time in my office there, and always welcomed people and directed people to where they were going.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Is there somebody on?
I have one.
Alice?
I just wanted to make one comment that what I've started giving out the idea, kind of pushing the idea, is the archives that need to be done, not only to, like Lois has them all tagged, but also entered into the computer system that we have, which is the same as the one they're using in Waterbury, and people can log in remotely and do a search with a username and password. To get all that done, and also, I mean, it's a huge job, and at this point, I'm floating the idea of a paid intern, or a stipend, or a part-time intern, and look at some, we might even be able to supply some summer jobs for high school students to come and help with this. Clean out things that we no longer need.
Anybody else? But I am mindful of the time, we have a few
Okay,
other
yeah.
items on the agenda, but if there's
And
any
the
other
first thing is,
comments?
we have a lot of ideas of these things that we would love to do. But if we're, in the red because of the rent, we can't do this thing.
Point taken. So, Larissa Upstrom was going to be here tonight. She was here about a half hour ago, but she needed to go to the hospital with a possible complication of a health issue. But I think she's very confident that it's minor, but best be careful then. And
Yeah.
folks may know Josh Curtis has missed several meetings because of a family tragedy. I think we're all gonna be here at our next meeting. I would rather we talk about it as a full group. I guess I'm talking to the board, rather than make a decision with 3 people. And if it's not a unanimous decision, then it's a failed decision. So I'd rather have a full 5-member board here to put this on the agenda again, if that's okay.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Yes.
Very last thing, Taylor Radke, just want to say I personally, I can only speak for myself, but in working, with this brief amount of time with these folks here, I've become really inspired to be invested in this community and to carry that momentum in a way that's going to spark more interest and intrigue for generations to come. And I'm committed to putting in that time and effort, despite working many different jobs, many hours a week. So there's a lot of personal investment, I think, behind this ask.
It's
So thank you for listening.
clearly true of everybody here. So yeah, if I appreciate your patience, so we wait till we have the full board here, I'm sure we will. And I will encourage Josh and Larissa to watch this portion of the meeting, which we can do now on community access, so they'll get a chance to hear everything that was said, and of course we'll have pretty detailed minutes.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thank you as well. I know I'm gonna have some follow-up questions that'll probably come to me later tonight, and so I will also appreciate the additional 2 weeks to ask those, but I really appreciate your time being here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
giving me the time. These are 2 other items that, is one for each person
What are
of
they?
those items too. Things that I didn't want to take the time to announce to you as far as all our expenses that we've had through the years. And that's you, Fred, writing that you wanted that letter sent. It
Thank you
wasn't
very
my
much.
idea,
Thank you.
but I liked it.
Sorry for the tardiness.
No, no problem.
You can stay as long as you
Got
like.
another
We're still doing lots of cool things.
Yeah,
session.
believe it or not, I'm late to
Oh,
something else.
okay.
Let's start figuring
I'll
out how
come
to.
for one of these days.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm here to stay, for the best of the community, so.
Is it okay?
You're gonna get it all
Without
into a
going in a hole?
Well, if you gotta.
It works.
Thanks, I'll take
So
care.
we'll try to get you over. by
I would call before.
What's that?
I would call before I drove up that road.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Sam.
Do that, yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.
You originally were first on the agenda, and then
It's all right. I don't think this will take too long, but we'll see. I just wanted to check in with you guys. We are planning.
yeah.
It's okay.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Sam Jackson. I teach at GMVS, and I run our adventure programs. And we are planning to do an orientation adventure event in mid-September. And it's a pretty ambitious little race event where we'll leave from campus and we have the entire student body broken up into teams, and there are various legs, and it's about a 60-mile race where we'll travel from Waitsfield up over to Lincoln, over to Jerusalem, back over Mad River Glen, and then up through Fayston, and then down to Harwood, across the valley, over Moortown Gap, back along the other side, back over Waitsfield Gap, and then we'll finish back at GMVS. And so in the process, the kids will be biking, mountain biking, gravel biking, running and hiking these various legs in small groups.
So you're here to invite us to join you guys?
Precisely.
Compete against you?
You guys can, exactly, we can have a Waitsfield Town team.
So, I talked to York about the request and,
Yeah.
what to make of it. You're not doing anything, all of your off-road activities will be at the school.
Yeah, or, we will be riding through the Dana Hill Mad River Riders Network.
Okay, yeah. So I think what we concluded was, we just had the Green Mountain Stage Race.
Yeah.
Where they got a festival permit and permission to use town road rights of way. I think we determined that you really don't need a festival permit, but we probably should give you permission to use the town roads.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not going on Route 100, is that right?
There are a couple small pieces on Route 100, but our desire is to
Between you and
avoid
V-Trans.
paved roads as much as possible.
And this is Friday? This is
Friday,
September 12th.
September 12th, yeah.
I would suggest that you let the ambulance know that you're active, and also the fire department know that you're active.
Absolutely, and that, we're gonna do that with every town that we pass through. We'll be in touch with the EMS services, and I think, we've also talked about possibly using Front Porch Forum as a way just to let people know. And then, yeah, and we've also been talking about getting some signage out. Mad River Riders had their, gravel ride on Friday signs out, and I think we would like to do something equivalent, particularly where any place where we're coming down onto town roads or even 100, so.
That's one of the benefits of the festival permit, is just making sure that people are aware of what's going on.
Yeah, so,
And do you have a plan if something unfortunate happens?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, and all the kids are using Strava. There's a beacon feature on Strava, so you can track them, and, yeah, so, it's,
I already drive by the roller Nordic trainers often on East Warren Road,
Yeah.
so.
yeah,
Oh, is that you guys?
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
yeah, they're out there a lot.
Very
There's some, I think, New England camps too that run out of GMBS in the summer that have kids up there too. So it's not just our kids, but a lot of our kids are up there. So,
I'll be ready to make a motion, move to approve the use of town roads for the GMBS school adventure event on September 12th, and in compliance with local requirements and coordination with EMS services.
Yep, second.
Any discussion, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
great.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, if there's anything else, if you guys have any questions, just let us know.
If you need any volunteers, shout.
All right. Will do. Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Sam?
Town garage,
Some lights?
yes. And if it heats up, let me know, it's very chilly.
It's
right
fine.
When we got in, I was like, we need the air conditioner? So I turned, but there's no in between. There's
No,
69
it's-
or.
Yeah.
Once the sun goes down and we don't get the greenhouse effect, then it
Yeah.
usually gets better.
And I'm just curious, Peter, I'm glad you're staying for the meeting. Is there any item in particular you're interested in?
Dana Hill Road.
No,
Oh, got it, okay. I think most everything else is pretty quick. So the town garage RFP, thank you for getting a draft. You said that both Josh and Charlie had looked at it?
Josh has not responded, Charlie responded and saying it looks great. So I hope, I did the best I could to try to make it so it's very clear that it's of what we're looking for. We're looking for a better drawing and for an idea of what it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
And I hope that shows that.
I thought it did. I read it and was fine with it.
It may have been a slight overkill, in terms
I
of.
think
the
that's
wording,
always
but-
better than
Yeah,
less.
exactly.
Did you have any?
I don't.
So I don't know, do we need a motion for that? I guess we probably, why don't we have a motion to authorize the town
No
administrator
changes,
to-
except my email address, cause it's official, I have a new. I didn't put any dates in, do you want me to just use best practice, start to move forward and look at like how long it should be out for?
Yeah.
How long, and then I'll compare it to like when we have meetings. And I think the 6 to 8 weeks after award is probably appropriate.
Yeah.
So if you're okay with that, then I think that's probably good.
I mean, I don't know whether we're gonna have a pretty heavy discussion about what goes on next year's capital budget, and I doubt if we're gonna be ready to go to a bond vote in March, but, you know, we probably should have information at least to inform the voters of where things stand at that point, so I think there's plenty of time.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so is the goal to start to have, we want something from this by town meeting?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And also, you may have already explored this, but are there design or planning grants that we should be pursuing for this kind of project?
There are maybe some through the state
Okay.
that I've seen. I don't think they'd be for this, although don't quote me on that, I don't think they're for this
Municipal
stage.
infrastructure or,
But I probably should check on that. I've looked at one, but it's been a
And-
couple months.
That might be a
Yeah.
Keith Cummin question at CVRPC.
That, I mean, I have a couple other ideas, but that would be a really good fit as well. I agree.
Yeah, he would know. There's, I want to say it's Marshfield, but it might be East Montpelier, that is just having an opening of their fire station. And I believe Keith helped with grants or administering that. And he was even thinking it might be a good idea for that town to open it up if anybody wants to come and see the new fire station and what they did and look at the costs. I don't have them at the tip of my tongue right now.
So what a motion to authorize town administrator?
just make, I'd move to authorize the town administrator to finalize this RFP and get it out to potential bidders.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I think I told you, Brian, I talked to our engineer and about this. That was actually the first person I talked to after Charlie Goodman. And he has some ideas, even some architects to send it to, because he feels an architect should take this on. So he has a list of architects that I should send it to help the process along.
I do both the engineering firms and the architects.
Yes,
The-
okay.
the-
And it has to go out everywhere
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Garage sale ordinance, you found it? It is an ordinance?
I found
Several.
3 actually.
I looked at it and I don't know how many people get permits, but
That
I
was
bet
my,
Okay,
most
that was my
that's
first,
okay.
that was my first question.
most people don't comply.
It's about 5 to 10 a year.
I've been to a lot of garage sales and I have never seen a posted permit.
It's about 5 to 10 a year.
And I'll also find the garage sales by following the signs that are put off premise.
Yes.
So, well, let me know when
Great.
you wanna know some other stuff.
We wanna know what's the process for,
Okay,
Well, I
so,
think you detailed it very nicely in our packet.
Yeah.
Well, I-
Basically, the reverse of
an ordinance.
adopting.
it's the same process.
Yeah,
Except
Exactly the
we
same,
do it first and then,
no, the process is
No,
the
the
same.
process
The
is
only
same.
thing,
I think.
yeah,
You do it first.
you make a motion
You have
to,
44 days after you post it in 5 places.
the 6.
okay, well, I
But-
have to
but
reread
there's-
quickly, hold
But
on.
there's some complexities to it, so when you're ready, let me know.
Where is the VLCT part?
If I can find my pictures of them.
Am I missing?
And sorry, my son just requested money, so he's in an airport somewhere in the country.
Oh, here we go.
I read it, but some, I know I read it.
Yeah, I think there might have been an issue with.
Did it bring it up right?
Yeah, let me just
I'm sorry.
It was out of sequence.
I wonder why, that's weird.
find it.
You're looking for my information from VLCT? I think I put it towards the end.
Yeah, because you had a very nice chart.
So, I'm gonna start in paragraph 3 from the VLCT,
What page are you
page
on?
74. In contrast, as opposed to passing an ordinance or noticing the passage of an ordinance, in contrast with the notice of adopting, amending, or repealing a municipal ordinance, the select board is notifying voters of 2 things. 1, changes it has already decided to make, and 2, the voter's right to petition the select board to undo its decision under 24 VSA 1973. Undo its decision. But that means we say, this is what we want to do, it's not passed yet, and it gives the public time to, just if you want to read the rest of 74.
But that's not saying in contrast with the notice of and I'm just asking for clarity, in contrast with the notice of adopting, amending, or repealing.
Yep.
So for all 3 of those,
Right.
for an ordinance, it's the same process. Am I reading it
Oh,
wrong?
this is, that's in contrast to the zoning.
That's right,
Yes.
Okay, got it, yep, I'm clear now.
which is part of the reason there's a hiccup because of our zoning bylaws.
Okay.
Well, you get a nice
So-
checklist on page 77.
77.
This is VLCT and it's great.
Yeah, no, that's very, so it gives people a chance to ask for a vote, is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
So
To-
we need a motion tonight to repeal the ordinance. And
Well-
then
Maybe.
Yeah.
Can I?
we-
Can I
yes,
say
go ahead.
something? So there's 3 doors that I foresee. And the reason there's 3 doors is because our zoning bylaws. And I didn't include it, I meant to, but at any rate, it's quick. It's F, and I didn't take a picture. Garage sales, yard sales, auctions, or related activities not exceeding 3 consecutive days, nor more than 6 days in any calendar year, provided that such sales comply with the Waitsfield garage sale ordinance, which may, which is an important word, require a permit from the town clerk. So that's in the bylaws. So JB's opinion is that repealing this is not enough. We talked more through it, since it says may, we think it's possible. He would very much like to just change the bylaws.
I was worried about that, and I did not check the bylaw, I appreciate that. Because
So,
I was worried that we would, one of my worries was that the bylaw would be silent on it. And I was hoping the bylaw would make this a zoning issue and not have all of the administrative hassle that you can have, 3 days of sales, X number of times a year, to guard against somebody opening a retail shop.
that's right.
And I think it does that. So maybe we could request the planning commission to amend that
And
definition.
that's right, and that's what JB would like to do. So, there's 3 doors. We could also just say, we wanna enforce this process, and then just come up with a system to enforce. Jen really is not interested in that.
I don't think the board
None
is
of us
either.
are.
Repeal the ordinance and then amend the bylaws, or amend the ordinance and allow the may in the bylaws to allow the new ordinance to ensure there's not long-term. So we could amend the ordinance so the bylaws don't have to change, and JB said that would work. And amend the ordinance basically to say, you don't need to do a permit, but you're basically rewording that sentence from statute, from section six
Oh,
oh
I hear what you're
two.
saying. So the ordinance
So
would
you
become
just-
a single sentence.
The ordinance is basically a couple sentences, then you don't have to change the bylaws, and the ordinance is just saying, you can have a garage sale, yard sale, 3 days, maximum 6 days per year, you don't need a permit, and that's it. And then home businesses, et cetera, would kick in. And JB does not mind changing the bylaw, but it would be more complicated.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather change the bylaw than to have an ordinance that is just a piece of paper that really doesn't mean anything, just backs up the bylaw.
So we're
Alice, do you have
still,
any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Is the
I,
bylaw language in here, or is it?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead, Alice.
what you're trying to do is not
JB was out last week.
make sure that people don't open up something every weekend or half a year. Like they're gonna open up a retail shop in their garage. I think it should be a bylaw. Make it clear with a bylaw.
But won't the statute still be in effect if we It'll just be sitting there as a, in effect, statute.
Yeah.
Is
I mean,
bylaws?
The bylaw would reference, and it would, must comply with an ordinance that no longer exists.
Yeah, the bylaw, and JB
Right.
has no interest in taking this on now. He wants to take it on when they do the bylaw, which is, he said about 9 months, I guess they do it in the spring usually. He said, I will do it now if you want me to. It basically just moves the period. It basically doesn't
I
change
think
it.
it would be so minor.
It's pretty minor. But you have to do a public hearing,
Yeah, no, I know.
so.
Right.
You know, his point is, it'd be cool to just do all the public hearings at one time.
Yeah, it's usually
But yes.
better to put together a package of these sort of minor bylaw changes and then do them all in one renewal and one public meeting.
But you know, if, I guess, as you said, may require a permit, and it doesn't, and if it references it, providing it meets an ordinance that no longer exists, I don't see how it could ever be in violation of that.
I think it would probably be okay as well, and take on the
Yeah, there's
bylaw.
lots of instances of laws that have been repealed that are referenced somewhere else, and,
Yes.
you know,
So
they
we
can go
would-
back, go through and bracket repeal.
We would repeal the ordinance, but the bylaws would prohibit the very thing that the garage sale was meant to.
Yes, yes.
I could,
I agree with that.
I'm good with that.
And that, and the enforcement of the zoning ordinance is much more cut and dry than,
This thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fred, you were right, the zoning bylaw should have always been the answer.
Yeah, there's an
So-
enforcement mechanism for zoning violations.
So I suggest we just go ahead and repeal it and let the planning commission know that there's you know,
Yep.
a glitch in the ordinance, or the bylaw, zoning bylaw, when they get the chance to do their housekeeping changes.
Yep,
Which again, is the process, I mean, you've all read the process now, so this isn't a done deal until I think it's 60 days.
Yes.
So I'll have to post it,
Yep.
Yep.
in 5 places, I don't even
Yep.
have 5 places, so I'll have to add some library, it won't be hard.
is it a major
Just the-
problem now?
I think just, I have not heard anybody complaining about garage sales run amok. And I have not witnessed any problem, and
Yeah,
I don't think it's anybody,
In fact, they're trying
It
to.
was-
Yeah.
well, and in this economy, you
Yeah.
know, there's a
Yeah.
value.
So I would move to repeal the garage ordinance, garage sale ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And JB is aware, and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Just add it to the list. I'll start the process I'll do it tomorrow if I can, and set it on my calendar. I think it's 44 days and 60 days.
Okay, we're almost there, Peter.
I've got time.
So I think the next one could be quick. We identified short-term rental, better short-term rental management and oversight as one of our priorities. We did, York did ask the zoning administrator and the chair of the planning commission if the planning commission would be willing to take that on. JB was actually fairly enthusiastic and has done some legwork on it. The chair of the planning commission told me just before this meeting that he's happy to make that a priority as well. So we have a proposed motion to make that request to the planning commission.
And you don't have to take that motion, to be clear.
I don't understand the purpose or the need for this ordinance.
I think I will explain it in a couple of different ways. One is a public safety issue that I think if you saw the article out of Stowe, that a lot of the short-term rentals are owned by out-of-town owners and nobody knows who to contact in the case of an emergency or a problem, or an enforcement of a health code violation.
Most of our properties are owned from out of state.
And it's,
Well-
there are neighbor impacts of having frequent large groups going into folks. There's no oversight about whether they're meeting wastewater standards or capacity requirements for a
Big
property.
groups.
And there's been some real, I think, neighbor conflicts in town. I mean, it's a way to understand what's going on in the short-term rental market, how it's affecting the long-term rental market. And it's not, by asking them to look into it, we're asking them for what the options are, not to do any particular regulation.
Well, I've read the material too, and it was, for me, it was not convincing.
I'll add, Fred, I've helped a few cities write grants, and one city in particular, Hot Springs, Arkansas, they were not able to apply for a HUD grant because their metrics didn't meet those thresholds, but you could make exceptions. And they had an exception because they're also a resort town, and their short-term rentals, they had registered, and they could show that because the short-term rentals weren't real rentals, they had a housing crisis, and they could apply for this HUD grant, which I helped them apply for, I think it was $25 million. And so knowing the numbers are, in my opinion, as an administrator, really important to help understand where we are and where we're going, for me.
Yeah, I really agree with getting the facts is the first step, and knowing, we're lucky, we live in a place that a lot of people want to come, and.
And you need a place to stay, like at a short-term rent?
Correct, but we also need housing for our long-term workers, chefs, bartenders, nurses, and teachers. And when, as I've seen multiple times, a long-term rental, single-family house gets sold and turned into an Airbnb, that's a tragedy for our community, and I think it should be looked at as to what the options may be, and get the facts on how big a problem that is.
That's a pretty extensive study.
If it had been years ago when it should have happened, in my opinion, this would have been a much smaller undertaking. And so yes, this is a big undertaking because it's been going on for years and we don't know the numbers.
And other resort towns are dealing with it.
Correct.
So I want to take a straw poll. Would you support it?
Yes.
Would you support the question?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna suggest that we put it on the next week's agenda. Road crew items. We have two proposals. One, to buy a brush hog to hook up to our Ventrac, our new machine that does our mowing and plowing. And one of the benefits of that, among others, is just some brush hogging on town properties. Currently, correct me if I'm wrong, the Water Commission pays private vendors to brush hog around the well and the wellhead, and some other area and around the tank. And this would allow the Water Commission to pay the town to do that. And Josh thinks it would be useful for other maintenance issues and suggested doing this.
Yeah, and I don't remember what they were, but he had like 3 other places that actually be helpful here, there, and the other. And for Josh to be willing to take on other jobs, I think is okay. Brian, if it's okay, I did check with Steve, and basically we're broken even. Because we've made 2 big purchases,
Yes.
our reserve is about 0. It might have $2,000 in it for heavy equipment.
Well, we did have increased, well, we spent a lot, but we did have a budget surplus last year, which increased our unassigned balance. I'd like to go ahead and do it, because I do think it will pay for itself in a short amount of time with the Water Commission.
I did try hard to figure out how long it would take to regain our money, and it was really hard to figure out where things were coded and how they, around the solar array every year.
That's right, the solar array has to be brushed off.
And I can't say really how much we spend every year on it.
And we're contract out for the solar array.
That's right. Yeah, no, it would pay for itself. I wanted to come with the information to say how long it would take to pay for itself, and I don't have that information.
Any questions?
Real quick, so we do have money in the fund to pay for this?
We don't have money in the
Heavy
equipment fund
equipment
for the
reserve.
reserve, we do not, but, Brian,
I like the pickup that we bought before the end of the year. I would not want to go and make another major purchase with unassigned balance, but I think this is small enough that it's clearly a drop in the bucket. So I think we can cover it.
Okay. Well, I'd move that we buy the Ventura brush hog quoted at $5,789.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then the second item, you'll remember, we did have a landowner on Dana Hill request that we put down some material, deal with some culverts. I think Josh did do a little bit of work up there.
Yep,
But
which was appreciated.
But he suggested that we bring in somebody to better grade the road. And York got a quote from Kingsbury, which was surprisingly competitive.
I don't understand it.
Can you maybe go over, he's gonna grade it?
That's what Josh tells me. I don't know how they're doing it for, like, it feels like a very good deal. It doesn't include, I think it says, and I can't find it now, any products. And you would think that maybe they would add some gravel, and so this quote, I don't think includes anything like that.
Josh did say it takes a while, but he has and can bring material up there too, from the town pit.
And maybe that's their arrangement.
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
we should clarify that, but, Peter, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the improvements that were made a few weeks ago were great. They really helped, especially with that one culvert, which is
Yeah.
uncovered. They did dump some there, they dumped some further up. I haven't been way up the road, we're only half a mile up the road. But
I was way up the road before the work was done.
Uh-huh,
And it's not, and
it's,
the lower part is the worst part.
it's rough. And my only additional comment would be that the road is used more often than you might think. By the 5 people that have camps up there, or houses, whatever you wanna call them. The bicyclists are going up, people are going up to the state forest, check out the hunting scene. So every day there are a score of cars that go up. And I would just say, whatever can be done to keep it going the way it is now. We don't really want major improvements, because then we would have more people up. We want to cut that fine balance of a few people that really want to get up there, and they should be able to get up there. The bicyclists and the ambulance service, if there is an emergency, should be able to extract people, which they have done on a few occasions. So, yeah, whatever you guys do, and that, I think that cost of $3,800 or something seemed remarkably low. And the town used to send the bulldozer up once a year.
Yeah.
And just to keep the water bars and it's smoothed out a little bit. But this last time, it really helped a lot. So, yeah, whatever can be done, we're happy with it up there.
Motion?
So it took me a while to figure out what a class 4 road is.
Okay.
And I think technically, correct me, I'm saying this for my sake. A class 4 road, our obligation as a town, is the culverts and bridges. Culverts can't be exposed, which is what Josh fixed. Is that technically true?
I'm not sure. I think some towns interpret it even more hands-off.
Oh, really? Even more hands-off than what I just said?
Yes, but I think we've always interpreted it as keep it passable, but no winter maintenance.
Okay.
And not built to class 3 standards, which are, a certain width, depth of material, just the engineering standards.
Sure.
Some are different than others, like Ralston is different than.
Yeah, Ralston Road is a class 4 road because
Correct.
it can't meet class 3 standards without significant work, but we do want to keep it open through the winter for emergency maintenance.
Yeah,
And
okay.
distracts us.
That's helpful. Thank you, sorry.
No, that's no problem. That's good to clarify. So,
Make a motion to authorize York to approve the Kingsbury quote to grade Dana Hill Road for $3,460.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
Where would you like me to pay for this from?
We
Did
do
you
have
have
the.
Great question.
The,
Cause I think there's probably a couple options.
There are, there's we do have a contracted services in the road department.
Is that where you'd like to come from? That's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah. Cause we're new in, new
Yeah,
in
no,
this
we-
fiscal year, so we have money in that, that's good.
I think it does speak to, next year's budget, cause if we have another flooding event, we will use it. And so I guess I raise it up as saying, these flooding events are using our budgets.
We're well aware of that.
Alright, sorry, you guys didn't vote.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And then,
That's great.
Well, hey, thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you for staying.
Yes, it was very instructive and
It was nice to meet you
educational.
too, Peter.
It's good to see you, Peter.
Okay,
Officially.
take care.
I'm looking for something here before I get to the next item. So, Misha Golfman at the Path Association got in touch with me last week, said that, asked if the town would submit a grant application to the Federal Rural and Tribal Assistance Program grant, which covers planning design for transportation projects, to pay for the design and engineering of the proposed transportation path that would follow the sewer line down to the Munn site. And he didn't give me any of the details when he called, just said there's this grant opportunity, and that Sam Robinson at the Mad River Valley Planning District would help him with that. I just told him to send the information to York Friday morning, and we would put it on the agenda and consider it. I didn't know what the program was, but it came to my attention since then that we authorized, at Alice Beal's request, the Regional Planning Commission to submit a proposal to the same funding source for the Meadow Road Bridge. And Alice, correct me if I'm wrong, that money seemed to have gone away in the
Yes.
chaos, and now it's back?
Yes, what happened was, the select board did authorize applying for the grant for the Meadow Road Bridge. And then the day to submit came up. Keith Cubbin at CVRPC was ready to submit it. He did submit it, and it got kicked back with a notice that, oh, we had a problem and we have to change things. And it disappeared. And it was right in the middle of all that, what's his name, Elon Musk being around. So we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And lo and behold, last week, the grant program notified us again that it had reopened. And the application date is September 8th. So Keith is ready to submit our proposal for the grant for the Meadow Road Bridge, which would cover the required engineering study and design phase, would take us up to a 90% engineering plan to replace the Meadow Road Bridge. And he has the companies that he would submit this to. So he's ready to send that application in on September 8th. We're unsure how competitive it is, but we do think it's competitive. And
did Keith have any thoughts on what the ramifications of submitting two proposals would be?
I called him this morning, and he said he would say to the town, make up your mind which grant you want to submit. Don't submit two, because you're competing with yourself.
Well, I have to think of a proposal to deal with something that has real life safety implications. The Meadow Road Bridge is the more compelling grant.
And there's residents and farmers. I mean, it's not just the farmers that are getting antsy. It's people that live along North Road
Oh, yeah.
that depend on that bridge for their services.
I hear about it quite often.
Oh, I know. And now we've got the Pine Brook Bridge. Thanks for sending that.
I don't think
I
that's
can
such a big deal.
Send you a
No, I
copy.
think it's.
But it's something that needs
Hopefully,
attention.
it's not structural, it's more,
It's a planking,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That, hopefully
We're-
we can do that.
What were you gonna say, Alice? Copy?
I'll email you the copy of the Pine Brook Bridge, the last inspection that was done last summer on it. It gets mostly satisfactory to good.
So Alice, correct me if I'm wrong, and Fred, you guys know the most. This is the huge engineering study, which is a long process. This would not take over what maybe the plan is right now, the hopeful plan that the inspection will come and we'll be able to have an engineer look at it and do a short-term fix that we hope will last about
Right.
10 years.
Yes,
Exactly.
this actually would be the best of both worlds, if we could do that, and then we can have this study done, which will take time to put into motion anyhow.
My
But it
concern,
would,
I'm sorry, Alice, sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, my concern, just because this was my previous life with the National League of Cities, it's too bad we didn't apply for the bridge grant when it was available for this bridge, because we would have gotten it, I think.
What bridge grant?
The bridge infrastructure, it was through, there were 3 bridge grants.
Oh,
A, B,
brick?
and C. Yeah, what? No, not brick. No, I've written about $150 million of them,
When did
but
it
we
clo-
would have
when did that
gotten it.
close?
What's that?
When did that close?
This spring. So that was under the infrastructure law. So that would have been a really good fit. My concern, this is not as good of a fit for this grant, which I've also helped write grants for. My concern, and I may be not right, I'm not trying to say what is a bigger priority, because obviously the Meadow Road Bridge is a huge priority. This is not as good a fit, in my opinion, from my experience, as some other grants historically for what we want. So I just.
That was gonna be my next question, is I'd love to look at the language of what they're looking for and the types of projects they've awarded in the past and,
It,
yeah.
what it is it's part of, it's a remnant from the Biden administration. It was a Biden program for rural communities to be able to work on their infrastructure. So in that sense, this is a good fit. Keith went through this and said, what we need is, we will qualify for it with the Meadow Road grant.
He said he believes we will qualify for it.
Yes,
And-
yeah. And that's, I know what you're talking about now.
It's a BIP, bridge.
That's the other one that
infrastructure program.
disappeared also, would have been a better fit, but this is still a good fit. So we're in that kind of funding times now where you kind of keep looking till you find something that's open. And this is open, we go for it. It's really important. I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna get it, but we have a good chance.
And what are the cycles are annual for this?
Um,
No,
This is
I
the-
mean the application cycles, not how long it takes.
No, that's,
Uh,
I think who knows probably. No,
The
it's-
application cycle was, gee, I don't know how far back it went, but there was just the one opening to apply for this. There's not gonna be any more cycles.
Okay.
This is it.
Okay.
This is spending down the money in that grant program.
That's probably the case with a lot of federal grants.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your pleasure?
Yeah, I mean, if we had a low chance at the bridge and a higher chance at a mobile transportation project, that might make it a harder debate, but for me, if they both have, or if the bridge has a good chance, I think that's our priority.
The bridge is the priority, by far.
So,
Yep.
wanna just make a motion to table this,
No, let's pass
or a motion to say no?
motion.
He's She's talking about the
Oh,
transportation corridor.
Jamisha,
Oh, for transportation, yes,
To table
to
it,
ta-
to take no
vote it
action.
down.
Well,
We want to use the grant money for the bridge.
okay. Yeah,
and it has been approved, so,
so
Make a motion that we use
go
the
ahead with
grant
bridge
for
and-
the bridge and
and not
deny the active corridor.
not-
For this grant, and I hope there are
Yeah,
other
sure.
grants that come along, because
Yeah.
it is a priority, just taking the advice of the regional planners,
Yep.
makes sense to me, so I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
oh, and there's no match on this grant either.
So
It's
I-
100%
Oh,
funded if we get this one.
we can afford it.
Yeah, Keith and I are pretty good at the free grants, so,
Please pass on our thanks to Keith.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
again,
amazing.
My goodness, thank you, Keith.
And
And you
Oh,
too,
man.
Alice, obviously.
yes.
yeah.
Appreciate it.
Can we,
Go ahead,
bridge?
Alice.
I want to rename the bridge the Alice Peel Bridge.
I thought it was a little bridge that could.
Yeah,
They could have both.
thank you all.
Thank you, Alice.
Thank you, Alice.
Thanks, Alice.
So next item, traffic ordinance updates.
I wanted to include, just to make sure that we're on the same page, I think, cause I don't remember what I wrote. I just, so since we were talking ordinances, and I found the ordinances about our traffic ordinances, I think I put 2 in, the most recent one, and you can see the wording for where it talks about Route 100, so you can see, like, it would just change the mileage and,
What page, please?
boom, 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 39.
Okay, thank you.
But I didn't want to start that process because I think we could do, there was maybe some interest in also having this, because I think it could all be in the same document about the bridge, the covered bridge, for example, a weight limit, which is what the sheriff's office kind of would like. So before I started this process, I wanted to ask what you wanted to have in this ordinance, if there was anything else.
this is page 38.
38.
Yeah, and then the wording for Route 100 is on 39, I think. Am I right? Yeah. VT Route 100 Main Street, a maximum speed, so that would be adjusted to the new speed limits, just so this shows that, and then they can, that would just mean that we make part of the ticketed money. Right now, we don't make any of those funds, or it doesn't come our way.
Yep.
But I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and let me know if I'm wrong, in the same amendment essentially to the ordinance, we could include weight limits on the bridge. There are already weight limits, they're just not in our ordinance, so the sheriff's department can't ticket.
Right now, they're vehicle class prohibitions, right? On the sign as you approach the bridge, it's no trucks, buses, or RVs.
Oh, is there not a weight limit posted? I can't,
There might
because there are weight
good.
limits.
That's a separate sign,
That might be right.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
I just looked today.
I mean, every bridge has a weight limit,
Yeah,
and they should be posted.
I'm not sure what covered bridge is.
we can check.
Yeah.
I'll check shortly.
I'd put money on it.
I
But we
think it's
better
the law.
Trust but verify.
Yeah.
Trust but verify,
You
yeah.
know, another, we were talking about the 2-car issue.
Yep.
And I'm wondering why we don't have, the ordinance doesn't include the stop signs on the covered bridge.
I noticed that as well.
That would be the way that you're gonna, you know, I guess you could still have one slip in if there's no car at the other end, but
Right.
it's a lot less likely.
Yep. It's
So-
not a stopped intersection in our traffic
And I
ordinance.
always thought it was, because people talk about, it's a courtesy to let the other guy go and then back and forth, but I always assumed it was the law, it's a 2-way intersection with
Right.
the stop sign.
But you could still stop and go,
I think we
and
want
then
people
still
to
have
stop.
2 bridges on, 2 cars on the bridge, technically, right? Technically.
Yeah,
But we wanna make it clear, one car on the bridge at a time.
Yes, because of weight limits.
So how do you
But,
do
I
that?
mean, because
I think
trucks
what
and
Brian's
stuff
saying right
is.
now is if you California roll through the
Yes.
stop sign, it's not an ordinance.
Okay.
it's really, you should wait until the intersection is clear before you and that's, the bridge is in effect the intersection.
So that's not changing signage necessarily, it's just updating the ordinance so the sheriff's department can take it?
Yeah, but I'd wanna check with V-Trans about that.
With that question, we just talk about stop intersection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the one car at a time would be almost a helpful advisory thing, you know, unless it's backed up by our ordinance. But it could go along with the stop sign, right? So,
Yeah.
just a reminder, one car at a time on the bridge.
It actually, all this talk is, so we go to Kiowa every summer in South Carolina, it's a very ritzy private town. But they have like really nice looking stop signs, and every time I pull up to the bridge, I'm like, man, a really nice stop sign sure would look nicer than metal stop signs. That's just been on my mind lately, so I know.
So,
We keep looking into it?
we need to actually make the draft changes for the speed limits on Route 100.
Yes,
Research the bridge and figure out the best approach to that, the stop sign and the weight limit,
yes.
and maybe vote to start that process at the next meeting?
That's fine, I just, assuming it can all be in the same document, the same ordinance, which I think it can,
Yeah,
it makes sense to do it all at one time.
yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
And
So
then,
if I can get all the answers, do you want me to working on an ordinance with all these changes?
Yeah, an amendment, yeah.
which would be inclusive of everything that the sheriff has
I
recommended.
will work with the sheriff's department as well,
We
to
want-
make sure it
Is
speaks to
inclusive.
what they need.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that would be imperative.
yeah.
And is that going to include a collision part of the ordinance? Is that part of this, or
I don't know.
totally separate? Have you heard back from the folks with the advice about
No,
mitigation measures? Okay.
no, I haven't. But then again, I haven't pursued it because I didn't know what we were doing.
I don't know,
As far as the ordinance is concerned, I wonder if we want to consider an ordinance that says damage to any town property, not just the bridges.
Yeah, I wouldn't just do the.
Yeah, no,
so that would be a
agree.
separate ordinance for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would, legally, I assume, we'd have to work closely with VLCT and
Yeah.
probably the lawyer even to make sure that's
Yeah,
done right. But for this, so we're talking about speed limit adjustments, obvious Route 100, two-car issue, stop sign intersection, the goal of one car at a time, and working with V-Trans and the sheriff's department to make sure it's all inclusive. And if we get answers, maybe have a draft for 2 weeks from now, or maybe even one that you can adopt, I suppose.
that'd be
that'd
wonderful.
be great.
That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. And bring us to the consent agenda. You didn't pull anything off of it? Motion to approve it?
Second.
Okay,
Okay, all
I'll
in
move
favor?
it.
Aye.
Sorry,
Aye.
I was just gonna
Aye.
say that
Oh.
includes the water.
Okay, good. So select board's roundtable.
I'm good. I'm
Dave?
good,
I'm
thank
okay
you.
for now.
I am as well. Town administrator's report?
Yeah, let me see, what did make sure I'm smart. The covered bridge, I think I reported last time that there's some loose, what are they called, floorboards? What's the right term for that? The boards that you drive on.
The planking,
The planking has come loose. As you requested, I contacted Miles Jennis of Vermont Timber. He came out one day, we talked after that, came out the next day, and he called me down, and he's not heavily concerned, but aware that maybe some of those beams that hold those plankings down are becoming soft. So he made a recommendation that we talk with V-Trans, see if they could do a spot inspection. I pulled the inspection from last time, I sent him that, I reviewed it quickly. And I've been communicating with Michelle at V-Trans about the potential of a spot inspection. I have not heard back, but she did respond saying she received my message. There is about $2,000 in our covered bridge reserve fund because of the damage last year and the extra work that the select board had Miles Jennis do, which is lovely, of course. I'm bringing this to your attention because Miles is quite sure that there will be some work that has to be done. We're not sure how extensive yet, but just so it's on our radar, I think it's a good idea to be aware. And several homeowners have reached out to me over the week saying that they're concerned about, especially how loud the sound is. And
Charlie Goodman said that he thought that it might not be that complicated to fix. You can put in some support, some side-by-side
that's right.
beams,
Sister.
as opposed to replacing all the beams.
He doesn't want to replace all the beams, just the soft ones. Like, so if it's soft, take that one out, put a new one in, is my understanding.
Could be. Well, let's see what he says. Yeah.
Well, those
Okay.
beams do more than just hold the planking down.
Yes.
They hold the cars up. That's
Which
the
one's
important
more
thing.
important? So I guess
Cool.
and we can make sure that we include Charlie Goodman in this process and come up with the best
Yeah.
plan that works for us. But Miles was mapping it, he went through every single beam, and it looks like there might be just a few. I think most of them are okay, but you can see if you look at the planking so really close, the east side is where the loudest ones are, but then there's some a little more than halfway across the bridge that look like they're popping up, and so I think he mapped that, and so we'll learn more.
Hey, George, just real quick, is this for us or for you?
What does it say?
4 initials, you've already done it?
Yeah, that's done. Farley Park, I just included that. I've worked with V-Trans to figure out the permitting process to make that driveway access, and that's going to start this week. Grants and aid, I met with Ashley Andrews of V-Trans. Every year we get grants and aid for work that really would benefit us, especially during flooding events, I think broadly speaking. And this year it's just under $10,000. We have until September 30th. And Josh has met with Ashley and they have a plan where hopefully we'll be able to be reimbursed that $9,500. And they've identified the place on Ski Valley Road. And then next year, after September 30th, it's going to be $15,000. And so we'll make sure we work with Josh and Ashley to come up with a plan.
And that's not a ditching work. Downlining,
That's
water
right, most of
quality.
it's, a lot of it's ditching, yeah. And with grants and aid, the reason it's hard for Josh, and he fought it a little bit, because it makes his life harder. Like Josh is, we have a small crew and limited budget, and so he does the spots that are really needing attention. But with grants and aid, you have to do segments, and segments are about 300 feet. Like it's, I think, if I remember correctly, like 100 yards. And so you have to do that whole segment. And so it just creates more work for Josh when maybe some of that segment isn't as bad as other parts. But Josh and the road crew are gonna take it on, so it's great. And I think that's it.
Great, and we do have an executive session item. That, you're on page.
Yep, I got it.
6.
I move that the select board enter into executive session pursuant to 1 VSA 313A1E to discuss pending or probable civil litigation to which the public body is or may be a party, and pursuant to section 313A10 to discuss public body security and emergency response measures, including cybersecurity, the disclosure of which could jeopardize public safety. Premature general public knowledge of these matters would clearly place the municipality at a substantial disadvantage.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And I'm gonna say it's 8:14.
Okay.
All done?
Thanks, yes.
Thank you. Where's my
Recording stopped.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.